80% of all food grown in Africa is actually grown from a smallholder farm.
Today on the Valentine Njoroge show, I'm speaking to Judy Njogu Mokaya, a serial entrepreneur who's worked in construction, the fashion industry, the tech world, and has recently leaped into AgriTech with an innovative solution named VunaPay that allows smallholder farmers to receive their payment as soon as they deliver their produce to their cooperatives. Let's meet Judy. Welcome to the Valentine Njoroge show, where I speak to women who are leaders in business, in the corporate world, even in government and in policy making, shedding light on what the African woman's journey is when it comes to this space of leadership and how she carries herself and what it takes to create feminine success. And we're shooting at DUSIT Princess, which is on Church Road right here in Westlands, which I learned today is only 11 minutes away from JKIA Airport. We're literally minutes away from the expressway. I feel like if I turn like this, I can actually see it. So very convenient place to stay. And right now they have an offer on staycations for you and your partner, your loved one, that person that you love more than everybody else. We call them bae these days and things like that. It's $150 for bed and breakfast for a single or double occupancy on the room. And you can use their gym, you can use their sauna, and you can use their swimming pool. And let me just tell you, they have world-class facilities. That's DUSIT on Church Road. That's exactly where we are. And let's meet Judy. Let me not say all three of your names. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Judy Njogu Mokaya. I am a mom of 3 kids. I'm married. I'm CEO, co-founder of VunaPay, which is a FinTech in Agri.
Okay. Yeah. We were actually just debating what is the co-founder versus CEO thing. Like, why do people say co-founder and CEO? Why not just CEO? Or why not co-founder?
Only, yeah. Co-founder, you know, someone can co-found a business and then move on and not run it. Or they can co-found, because co-founding means it's more than one of you. So I have 2 business partners who we came together and co-founded it. So the 3 of us are co-founders. And then so I took the role of CEO, and one of my co-founders is a COO, and the other one is a CTO, because it's a tech company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to be creative director. I'd love to be founder, data sphere, and creative director, not CEO.
Oh.
Because CEO is the math, the spreadsheets, the salaries, and then these tax things, KRA and all.
Yes, but operations, especially COO, we are always talking about this because really we find that a lot of those other operational things are being run by our COO. So I end up taking on more of the strategy, vision, rallying everyone to the common vision. Of course, revenue also falls under me, you know. Yeah. So if your strength is not in the operational stuff, just make sure you have a really strong operations person.
Okay. Not creative director.
You can still be creative director and have someone else run as CEO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you meet your partners? I was going to ask you about how you grew up and all that, but I want to hear about the partnership thing, because those are difficult things to create, right?
Yes. Actually, it's true. Remember when we were about to found, we met actually at Antler. Antler is a global VC. They have offices here in Nairobi. They call themselves the Day Zero investors. So what happens is they pick their type of founder, you know, so they put out ads and it's very competitive, and then when you get in, you have, right? Yes. So when you get in, they usually will have a cohort that comes in, and you come in even before you have your business idea and before you have your co-founders. And then from that group, you might be able to come up with a really good business idea and complementing, you know, co-founders that you found a company with. And that's what happened with me. So that's where I met Ian, our CTO, and Koya, our COO.
So you didn't know them at all?
I had never met them, never seen them before we met at Antler.
So you apply almost like a job.
Yes.
And say, this is my skill set.
Yes.
Because your background, I looked you up on LinkedIn, your Oracle, your Safaricom. So you've been in this tech space.
Yes.
And then, so you're like, I want to leap into entrepreneurship.
Yes, I actually I have done entrepreneurship before, but the Kenyan style, where you have a side hustle.
Okay.
But this time I wanted to go in and do it full time.
What was your side hustle?
The first one was in kind of fashion. I was selling bags on Amazon. So I'd have them made here, our usual baskets, but then finish them really well.
Okay.
And then ship them and sell them on Amazon and a number of global platforms.
Okay.
And then I got very busy and I had to focus on the job.
Okay.
So I just had to kill that brand. The other business is still running. It's in construction. We actually do ready-mix concrete. So we put in our life savings and built, brought in the equipment, and it's a whole plant and with the big machinery, the ones that move around.
Okay.
So that one is still running, and my co-founder is running it. She's actually a lady.
Oh.
I think you would be very interested to meet her.
I'm saying yes. I want to meet her.
Yeah, so she's running that one, but you see, I'm not full-time there. I was only there for a little bit. I had left Oracle for marriage, women issues, and I can tell you about that later. And during that time, I now, was more full-time for just a few months. About 10 months, where, I was, helping to set up a commercial strategy, the governance with Ernst & Young, etc. And then I went back to Oracle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in the construction business?
Yes.
Can we buy I'm assuming, concrete. Are you making concrete blocks like prefab?
No, we actually make the ready-mix concrete itself. So like if you have a construction site, then you can call and, we'll deliver the concrete to you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Call Judy for concrete.
Yes.
And then, so tell me, now I'm wondering, where do we jump from? Because you've said so many interesting things. Antler.
Yes.
Why that? Why was that appealing to you?
That was very exciting for me because I knew I wanted to set up something, and that's really because of where I had started. When I worked in Safaricom, initially I was doing sales, but then I was there for 7 years.
Okay.
6 also because of marriage things. I say 7, but there was also a break. I'll explain that again. And for the bulk of it, I was in innovation. I actually set up what they call social innovation, which is the arm within Safaricom. I think they rebranded it. That is specifically charged with coming up with commercial products, but then they need to have a social impact to it.
Okay.
So products in agri, in health, like the last product that I launched before I left was MTBA. I don't know if you know MTBA.
Yes.
Yeah. So then that's when I left Safaricom and went to Oracle. However, during that time, I think it was my most alive time career-wise. I really enjoyed coming up with something from scratch. I'd be given I had been given a blank canvas. I could just go in and present to Bob and to Bob Collymore, the late, and the exco, and say, this is what I think we should do in health. This is what I think we should do in agri, and etc. And it was very exciting, So I left there and went to Oracle. But I always wanted to go back to do something impactful. To
start from zero.
Yes, and do it, but I wanted to do it now for myself.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So then you applied to Antler and then you meet your co-founders.
Yes.
How long did that take? Like, how long does it take to create that relationship and then also figure out, because they've all come in,
yes.
I want to do something, maybe they have their own ideas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, not everyone managed to get co-founders within the group. So they have these things they call speed dating and all those things. And then they also would give us kind of like little, they send you on an exercise. Maybe they say, we used to call them sprints, you know? You're told that come up with something to disrupt M-Pesa, So then you end up working with different people. And as you do that, then you can see these are the people that maybe I could work with. Not because it's a person I gel with the most. It's more like, this is my strength and this is my blind spot. So I need someone that is going to complement me. Yeah, so that's how we ended up working. But all of us had the same passion, a shared passion, specifically for smallholder farmers. Yeah, so that really helped.
So why farming? This sounds so empty, concrete.
I know. Fashion.
Yeah, fashion, yes.
Now, farming specifically is because, 60% of Kenyans owe their bread and butter to agri. So if I'm going to do
60%.
anything, yes, you know, everyone has some farming or something like that. It's the biggest employer. And not just in Kenya, it's the same story across Africa. And yet our smallholders are really struggling. So if I'm going to do anything that will make the most impact, then it needs to be something to do with smallholder farmers.
Okay.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to do that, but I didn't know what exactly. And of course, especially, I mean, I would have conversations with my uncle. My parents grew up as smallholders, but then, you know, thankfully, we didn't end up having the everyday, but we were surrounded. My aunts, my uncles, you know, cousins, many of them grew up as smallholder farmers. So it's an everyday reality for me.
It is.
When you look at them, they're not lazy. And yet there's something that's not working.
Yeah, there's that saying that if hard work made you a millionaire, then African women would be millionaires. Is that it's something along those lines? Yes.
So there must be something broken.
Policy-wise,
our processes, there's something broken. So that's what we went out to investigate, and that's how we came up with VunaPay.
Okay. So how long did that take? Like from day one, I've arrived at Antler to actually we have a product and it's in the market.
That was, for it to be in the market, that was 8 months. Yeah.
You're not joking about this sprint?
Yes. No. The Antler program was only 14 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. So we came up with something. It was a no-code solution. I mean, so when you come in, you first of all begin by understanding what are the things that make a good business, etc. They really were very good at helping you identify a problem. The real problem, not something, they say something that will require a painkiller, not a vitamin. Because remember, if you're a 2 people, 3 people company that no one knows, and you want someone to buy that from you, you better have something so good.
I like that painkiller.
That people will
because a painkiller is emergency.
Yes.
Like when your tooth hurts, you can't think.
You can't start bragging that which brand of painkiller is this. You just take whatever works. Yeah, so that's what they were really good at. I really appreciate that. So then, so by the time you find that and you're sure 100% you've done your math, you've seen there's nothing, you know, then you come up with a solution. Even the solution will take a while for you to have the right solution to that problem.
You have to twanga it.
Yes, and then you also have to go into the market every day. I mean, every day we were out, you know, for us in these cooperatives, meeting smallholders and, you know, all that stuff.
Nice.
It has to resonate with them. It has to be a solution that is an actual fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did read an interview that you did, an article on you where you were saying you really had to research what are the pain points of these farmers.
Yeah.
And then you said the average age of the Kenyan farmer is 60.
Yes,
I was
60.
like, Allah, in a country where we're told the median age is 19.
Yeah, we are about 19 years old,
right,
and
so
yet the
like
farmer
60.
is 60. And that's the reality. Like when I go to these cooperatives, because we work a lot in the cooperative space because they aggregate the farmer for us.
Right.
Like coffee, you'll find actually the average age, you'll find a lot of 80-year-olds. I actually have yet to go into a board meeting for one of these cooperatives where someone is not asleep. Because, yes, in their 80s.
Asleep?
Yes.
I was waiting to hear 75. Not like asleep.
There's someone completely asleep. Because, I mean, they're older people, you know.
Okay.
So we do have a problem, you know.
Coffee in the world, isn't it the like number 2 traded commodity?
Yes, it is. It is fantastic. It's the Kenyan coffee is considered to be the specialty coffee out there.
And we've left it in the hands of the 70 plus.
In fact, I ask them all the time, how many of you, your son or daughter or your grandchildren are taking coffee as seriously as you are? I am yet to see a single hand go up. The first time I asked that question, I expected maybe a third. But our young people are not going into coffee farming and all that. And that's now what we are looking to change as VunaPay.
Okay,
Yeah,
So tell me about VunaPay. Now that we've said 60 plus, because then your platform had to be USSD. That I was going that way. But no, let's talk about VunaPay and what you want for Kenya.
Yeah, now, remember we talked about so many Kenyans and really Africans are dependent on that smallholder farm that they have, right? In fact, it says that 80% of all food grown in Africa is actually grown from a smallholder farm. Smallholder is 5 and below, but if you come to places like Kiambu, it's now we're talking about an acre or half an acre. It's actually really small. It gets smaller and smaller.
Yes. Can you really grow coffee on less than an acre?
Yes, they do have. They actually just count the number of coffee bushes that you have. That's what matters. And of course, how you take care of it, some of them will produce more than others, etc. So when we say smallholder, it's smallholder. The first time I went to a coffee cooperative, because I did a lot of work in Kiambu first before we went to other places, because it's right next door. And I remember that's when it really hit me about who my smallholder is. I was expecting people to go in, what are those vehicles that carry Mirai and stuff?
Pickups,
yes,
and those things.
I found people carrying a bag this much. This is what you're bringing.
Wow.
Yes.
A kiondo.
Small
Not even a
holder.
kiondo.
Yes,
You're doing this.
The
it's
small
like
bags, don't they sell for 10 shillings?
Yes.
Yes, that's what you're bringing as your coffee. Yeah. So when you say smallholder, it's smallholder. So they have small farms. So now this same 80% that we are talking about, they're in charge. We say that agri is what? It takes about 30% of our GDP. And we said most of that is under smallholder farms.
Right.
But then these smallholder farmers, we're not seeing the value. We're saying 30% of GDP these guys are responsible for it. But you can't see the benefit of that 30% of the GDP. Something is broken. So they are producing, but the value is not getting to them.
Okay.
Because when you see that specialty coffee, I've seen places where Kenyan coffee, just about 200 grams is going for $80.
I could not afford, and I'm sure you had this experience because we talked, you lived outside the country. I couldn't afford Kenyan coffee outside of Kenya.
Yes, you cannot afford it.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was a joke.
Yes.
Like you walk into Starbucks and you're seeing the mzungus and everybody else ordering Kenyan coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, house coffee.
Yes, just the house coffee.
Just the house.
Yes.
Right.
And yet, that smallholder, remember we said about 200 grams is going for $80 out there because it's specialty. Kenyan coffee is the best. That smallholder is not even making $1. They're actually making, the ones who are paid very well are paid about 80 shillings, which is $50. Yeah. And those are the ones that everyone looks at and say, wow, that co-op is paying their farmers very well. So there's a problem. So other than getting the good rates, we discovered that even before we go maybe to even consider disrupting the market and all that, the biggest problem is this smallholder is not even getting that 80 shillings. Because when you bring your coffee to the cooperative, whether coffee, dairy, maize, or whatever it is, you find a broker. Now, this broker is not your enemy, actually. It's maybe just your neighbor who's a teacher or a county worker. They can afford to wait. You can't afford to wait. You need that money today. The co-op will pay you after 6 months. So
you can wait 6 months for 1,000 bob, or you can let go for 600.
Not even 600. Sometimes it's as bad as they get 20%. But you're so desperate. Yes. Now imagine if it was going to be 80 shillings. You're going with how much? 16, 20 shillings?
Wow.
But you're so desperate, you just take it.
Wow. Yeah. No wonder nobody's thinking about farming.
Thank you.
No wonder Kiambu is going up in cement.
Yes. And no wonder our young people, there's no way, the youth can't wait. Because, this was very fascinating to me. Initially, when we started trying to sort out the smallholder, we didn't realize the youth angle yet. That's, as we were visiting, that's when now we realized, oh my goodness, everyone here is old. You don't see this in the streets. Right. You only see it at the co-op.
It's true. Yeah. Rarely in Kenya do you walk into a room and people are 60
yes,
plus.
Every other person is 19 in Kenya.
You hit 40 and you start feeling old because everyone is like, I was born in 1990 something. They're like 2000 something.
Yeah. Like how are you even my friend?
Right.
Anyway, so we started really digging deep into that whole idea. And they tell us, no, our young people, they don't like to wait. These young people, they can't wait. And all that stuff. So I asked them, are you bad parents? You're not bad parents, right? And they say, no, we trained them, we raised them the way we were raised. But then you remind them, you guys were raised on the camera, and you have to go, you say kusafisha, and then you wait 3 months. These guys are selfie people. They didn't have to do letters.
People had to sit properly before you took a picture.
Thank you.
Because otherwise you'll waste the picture. Yes. You only have 36. Yes.
And then you wait for 3 months because it will take you the 3 months to finish. And then it comes back and it's messed, These young people, they just know selfie. You take a selfie, it's not good. Next, you take another one. Yeah. So it's just how they've grown up. WhatsApp, when I send you a message, I can see the blue tick. The older people had to do letters and wait. I had to do letters in high school and wait, But our youth, that 19-year-old, never had to wait. It's not their fault. We are trying to force
they live in a
strange thing to them. So if we don't pay them immediately, they are not going to consider. So I asked them, what do your children or grandchildren do? They said they just cut our coffee bushes, which we inherited from our grandpa from 1960. You give them the land, they cut the coffee bushes, sell it and buy a border. It has to be immediate because the farmer has already done the work and they've had to wait that long. Don't make them wait any longer. Okay. So that's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah. So we work with the cooperatives and we provide them with the instant payment as soon as the smallholder farmer is.
While they wait for whoever is buying the coffee out of the country to repatriate the money and all that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, or even locally in milk. Milk they're paid only after 1 month, but a smallholder, remember, is just like the Njogu person. Okay. You can't tell the Njogu person, come at the end of the month. Because they have such a small, in fact, they were telling me, the cow is eating every day. So then how am I expected to wait for my...
And when an industry understands that, even supermarkets prioritize. If you're selling beauty products, they can pay you in 90 days. But if you're selling milk and bread, those people are prioritized even by the supermarket. Yes.
So that's the biggest problem, and that's how I think we can begin to get the young people. As soon as the young people now know that they can take their coffee and get paid immediately, then they are happier. As the other things are being done, all these reforms or whatever, to make sure that they get the better rate out there. At least let that farmer be at the table, because otherwise that farmer is not even getting their 80. So even though you make it 300. They're not at the table to receive the 300. Yeah.
So I understand that you haven't been in the space for very long, but government is really pushing and talking about agri and how we need to get into the space. And, Kenya can be, Africa can be the world's food basket. Kenya can play a role here. So I'm sure you've had the rhetoric. What are like some top things that you think should be done? There's the payment of the farmer, yes, so that the smallholder understands why they are farming. What else?
Of course, for sure, payment to the farmer. We need advisory services. I know a lot of NGOs work with the farmers to train them, but what happens is sometimes it becomes almost like a cut and paste, and sometimes what is happening in the rift will not happen along the mountain, or something like that. Things like fertilizer, the inputs is actually a big problem. I'm glad they have fertilizer subsidy for maybe like the maize, but the fertilizers subsidies also need to be localized, because sometimes I remember talking to some farmers and they're like, we got the fertilizer, but it doesn't work. When you go to some other places, they say, we got the fertilizer, it was great. But you see, the soil in the different places, what is the fertilizer supposed to do? It's supposed to see what you have and add what you don't have in your soil. But then if we just do a blanket, maybe let's do fertilizers here. So we need a bit more information. And there's a role of AI, soil sampling, and all those other things that can be done. I think there's a lot that's being done, and I think things are going in the right direction. But agri is extremely wide. We need all hands on deck if we're going to actually move this needle.
What about regionalizing Kenya and saying, because I feel a particular way about Kiambu, because I grew up seeing it as coffee, and then like Limuru is tea, and we grew up learning that these are zones. It was illegal to just cut down your coffee or your tea. What about that kind of thinking? Because we're seeing Kiambu develop and real estate is flourishing. My sister is a realtor. She'll pinch me after this when she watches this episode. She'll be like, why are you coming after my business? Let me sell houses and land. But bigger picture, coffee is globally a heavily coveted product. So why aren't we making this a space of you can only grow coffee? You go build in Rongai or somewhere else in Syokimau. Let's go that way,
I think that what would be, it would work. I think if we had, like the way they do in Israel, everyone come live in these places, and maybe the government, I had someone say that eventually you might end up having to go that route. I don't know. But remember, people own this land. In this country, you own your land and you can do what you want with it.
You're leasing from government.
It's true. But remember, some of them, this land you've been it's been bequeathed.
It's ancestral,
to you,
yes.
Yeah, for very long. So it's a bit difficult to tell someone that here you can only do this. I know we do have zoning and we do have all that, but especially when it comes to dictating what crop you can grow in a certain place, that would be tricky. I think to be taking away the sovereignty, in my opinion, of the Kenyan.
The agency of the farmer.
Yes,
like this is
their own agency. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. But if they were given enough information to know that for this area, maybe say the guys in Nyeri who are right at the mountain, or even Meru, and you have the red volcanic soil, and you have all the things that make coffee fantastic.
Right.
And you're told, and you actually get value for that coffee. Then you'll see. And this is why the youth would play such a big role when the information gets to them. A young person, by the way, people say young people are being lazy and stuff. I don't believe they're lazy.
No,
they just discovered
so.
that we don't have to work the way the other people used to work for you to do this. So if you give the young person information, tell them this small land that was here and was useless to you, it actually can link you to a coffee house in New York where you're going to make this much. Trust me, we'll have the young people.
And if you get your neighbors together, you can create your own brand and do something quite amazing.
I think it's information and just focusing more on the things, using tech to get the youth back. Yeah.
Okay. So how is it going? Like how many people do you have signed on?
Yes. So we... So January last year is when we met in Antler. That's when now the whole conversation began. So we now eventually decided we are doing VunaPay around May. That's when now we had everything,
This timeline is no joke.
Yeah. No, before you can finally, and I really appreciate it, before you can finally have a problem that you have completely... I mean, you'll die with that problem because
you've
solutions can change,
it,
but the problem needs to be one that you have understood. It's very painful and it's large enough because you also do not want to do a very niche something because you never
solve
scale
a problem for three people.
For you and your auntie, and no. So you've gone through all that, and you've gone through what does the regulation say about this, and what are all those things, and who else maybe. All they have to do is just add one thing and kick you out of business. So there's a lot that you have to really think through before you come into the space, right?
Okay.
So finally, we had a solution. We call it no code. Something that you build on Google because you want to be out there. You want to be building out there with the customers.
Okay.
So you show them and tell them, okay, try this. They give you feedback, etc. Before you actually go sit down and build your own tech. So when we built our own tech in August, that's when we got into the market. Now, in August, we went and we brought in our first cooperative. And currently, we've signed about 10 cooperatives.
Okay.
We have actively using about 9,000 farmers from 3 cooperatives. The other 7 are in the process of being onboarded. About another 30,000 smallholders. We already have signed them on. And we have a long list of others who are waiting for us. In fact, we've been booked to go in, and I think what is exciting is that means we actually did identify a good problem. So you're not having a solution that you're pushing. This is
amazing.
People. You're not pushing it to people.
December 2022. Or even when Ruto was inaugurated,
there was no VunaPay.
You hadn't even met your co-founders.
Yeah.
So between January, so now 14 months in.
Yeah. Yes. It's already 14 months.
14 months. You've identified your problem.
Yes.
You've created the product. You're out in the market.
Yes.
You have 30,000 people.
Yes.
Signed up.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Women for president.
And we have a long wait list.
Right.
I'm really grateful because that means the farmer actually resonates with our problem.
Right.
We go to a place. In fact, they keep telling us, here, do you know even this other place? They call each other. They call each other and they organize themselves sometimes. And they say, please, come and help us with this. I'm grateful. We also had to, of course, rely on partnerships because when you're new, I mean, people don't know me, and especially things that are very what did I say? Traditional, like agriculture. And we have the older people. They want to know, na huyo ni nani?
Then men own the land.
Yes, of course. We have that aspect of men owning the land and the women working in the land. But we've realized that, this is an angle that I had never thought about initially. But then as we were going into it, other than the fact that we were bringing in the youth, this actually works very well for women.
Okay.
And I found this out from dairy cooperatives in Kiambu.
Okay.
Because they tell us, but this will work for us because now every time there's chama, our milk doesn't go to the cooperative. They'll hawk it because they have to pay chama money.
Oh.
And also just a regular running. You know, let me give an example, a personal example. Say at the end of the day, my husband asked, okay, I asked him, how was your day? He says, oh yeah, it was good. I had this meeting, I had da-da-da. And then when he asks me, how was my day? Yes, I had my meetings. But then, see, gas ran out. I don't know. I was called for this and that. I was called for this and that. Things he is completely blind to. Because we run the daily, the day-to-day activity.
Yes.
So when the smallholder farmer is not able to have their day-to-day money, the person that gets most affected is actually the woman.
Yes.
Because where will milk for tomorrow come from? So that's why
we need soap in the house.
Yes.
We need this. Yes.
So when you deliver that milk, when you deliver that coffee or tea or whatever it is, you need to be able to access your money when you need it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was very exciting to find that I wasn't out there innovating for women, but I think just because I'm a woman,
okay,
I have a gender lens.
Yes.
You know, and as I was solving a problem, I realized actually I am solving a problem for women.
Nice.
For my own kind of problem.
Okay. Nice. So let's talk about marriage, because you mentioned it twice and you're like, I'll tell you later. What is this break that you took? And yes.
Now, when I was working for Safaricom, I said there's a lot of inbreeding in Safaricom because I met my husband.
Oh, is that the love story? How did you guys meet? Okay.
Yeah, in Safaricom. In fact, he was my senior. We're not in the same department, but he was senior.
He wasn't your boss, but he was senior. Okay.
So he summoned me outside. I thought, I must be in some kind of trouble. What is this? And, that's when he began to katia me.
Ati summoned. So that, I love it.
Anyway, so now we had, at one point because he was considered talent, Safaricom had this pool of people who are considered, talent, and they would always send you out for different programs.
Nice.
And now he was sent to India, and we had a small baby. In fact, the day he was supposed to report, our baby was 2 months. It was 2 weeks old.
Wow.
So I was supposed to be sent along because what I was working on actually was very new, and even India would have benefited from it.
Okay.
But unfortunately, now when we went, because I went first of all on my maternity as we were trying to work on my own role being moved to support India.
Okay.
We found out that Vodafone India does not allow married couples.
Allah.
Yes. So the opportunity was for us to either be shuttling back and forth. I have a 2-week-old baby, or I take a sabbatical. But Safaricom was not giving sabbaticals. But Bob, at the time when I was there, like I mentioned, Bob was the CEO. He called both of us, and he told us about how his own first marriage really struggled. Because, he was amazing. He told us because of that, you're living one place, another one is living another place. And then finally, when they're living together, each person is so used to living on their own.
Yeah.
So it didn't work. And Safaricom did not have a policy for sabbaticals, but he gave me a sabbatical. He told me, if you want, we'll give you a sabbatical. Because we tried to see how I can support remotely, nothing. So he gave me a 1-year sabbatical. He said, whenever you come back, your job will be waiting for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an empathetic leader.
I think when I think about leadership, Bob was amazing.
I loved Bob. I only met him like 2-3 times. I was doing a newspaper, which had badly called Valentine's Weekly. And he actually walked up to me in a restaurant. I was like, I know that face. Are you the one, Valentine's Weekly? So I said, yes. And he was like, oh, it's very nice to meet you. Let's talk, whatever. He was very supportive.
He's a fantastic human being.
Very encouraging. So I loved that about Bob. Yes.
Yeah.
Really
so
great.
Because of that, thankfully, I did get that sabbatical. So I was off for a year. So that's why I said I was in Safaricom for 7 years, but really 6.
Really 6.
Because I had that sabbatical. Of course, I still supported remotely, whatever I was doing, but on a sabbatical. So
how relaxing to become a mother with, I have money coming in and I can focus here. Because that motherhood thing, that jump.
And it was our first baby,
right?
And so, I became what my mom used to call a desperate housewife. So we were staying at this place where they had all these expatriates, and they would have programs for expatriate wives come and learn how to make different kinds of chocolate and other such things. I used to say I'd like to be a kept wife, but that's when I discovered, no, I do not.
You don't want to be.
I can't wake up and all we are discussing. Sorry for
everyone who is a stay-at-home mom and is loving it.
It just wasn't my thing. It just was not my thing, because we'd be discussing, what kind of sandwich did you make your husband, today, and where do you take his shirts to be starched? That's some people's
You're like, me outside our fashion business globally. I've done this, I've done the other.
It was not me.
These chicken strips cannot be my life. And which tomatoes did you use?
Oh, Lord. I honestly, and it was very exciting for some. And I could see, different age groups. There's some even who are just about to retire. They are in their 60s. They've been doing this. They've lived everywhere, you know. So this has become their life. Whether they had planned to do it at the beginning or not, I don't know. But now they've embraced it. And I really struggled to embrace it. I just enjoyed having my baby. And then came back. When I came back, I was pregnant now with my next baby. And so I just got back to Safaricom, and 3 weeks later I went on maternity. When I was on maternity, that's when now Oracle called me. They headhunted for that particular role. Nice. So I took it, you know. That's how I moved from Safaricom.
Yeah. The jump from having a job to entrepreneurship, sometimes it's easy, right? If you have a job and it's not paying you some amazing money, you're like, you know, it's not that difficult to make a leap. It's not that big a risk. But when you're making a certain type of money, where you're like, in 10 years, I can see I'll be wealthy if I manage my resources correctly. Entrepreneurship then seems like a very big risk. And it's sounding like you are in that realm of... I'm making good money.
Yeah, the Oracle role for sure was a good role, and you know, I had gotten some promotions, and now I was a director across Africa, so it was really exciting. Now I mentioned that another marriage thing happened. So when I was in Oracle, I got offered. I used to have an Africa-wide role. But now they were changing focus from Africa, and my manager asked me to move to take care of the UK and Western Europe. I'm a married woman with children, so I couldn't take that role. At the same time, my husband had also now been sent to a different country. So we needed to make a decision. So for me, I just said, it's okay, we'll just go to your country. First of all, he was making more than I was. Secondly, I think it's easier in our heads sometimes to just, you know, I mean, my husband can't be a kept husband. It's easier to be a kept wife. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. For me, I know I didn't, but I knew there was a lot of things I could do. You know, so so I took that other, was it 10 months, about a year again. So I left because now I didn't have a role. It's either I moved to the UK or I don't have a role. So I moved, so I left. Went with my husband to do whatever he was doing.
And then 2 children back. Now or more?
No, 3. Now I have, you know, at this point, this is actually just a few years back. 2 years, 3 years ago. So now I have
during COVID?
Children. Yes, shortly after COVID. Actually, it was during COVID, because remember, as soon as we went to, you know, the country where he's still working there now, we all caught COVID. That's why we got COVID, the Delta variant, that was really bad.
Poleni.
It's okay, thanks.
You land in a new country and everybody's sick.
Yes. It was crazy, and especially getting meds in these African countries that are not Kenya. It's difficult.
I tell people frequently, when you just see your neighbors, just go to your neighbors.
It's true.
And you come back home with a very fresh appreciation for how we live.
I mean, we used to even bring in milk and cheese and butter. I'd freeze butter to take it, you know, because getting butter is so difficult. You know, things that you don't even...
You take for granted.
You know. So then we came back. So when we came back, and Oracle had, I was around, and there was a role, another Africa, similar-ish role. So they asked me to come in. I came in on a promotion, so I was really grateful.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for the promotion, and you know, for having taken a year and being able to still come back. So take a year, go out there, you know, try and settle kids and it's etc. and catch COVID, get better, come back, get back to work. So that kind of worked out really well. So that's what happened. Now, moving to entrepreneurship was, I'd always, like I said, when I was doing what I was doing at Safaricom, I always wanted to move to entrepreneurship. But this happened again where, the big tech companies now are laying off people. And our whole unit from the US, the whole unit, we were just told one day that we will not have jobs in a month or something like that. Of course, they tried to place us. So they placed me in some roles. One, I think, was in Dubai, another one was somewhere in Spain, and another one was in the UK.
Oh, so you're working remotely from here?
No. I could pick one of those and relocate.
Wow.
Of course, I was not relocating again. We were so done. My husband and I were so done with the movement. We had said, now we are please, we are going to work from here. Okay. So I figured that was an opportunity for me to just finally do the entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So I stopped looking for jobs and joined Antler.
Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't such a drastic. I find it almost a shift in. I know when I left, like having a salary, I felt like it was a shift in identity. Like now thinking of myself as no longer employed, and now I'm in charge of what comes in, and I'm the one pursuing it. I found that a big shift mentally.
It is a big shift. Yeah, it really is a big shift because for me, some of the things that I'm discovering that about myself, having been employed all my life, I've been employed for 15 years, having a JD, and always, at the end of the day, having to send,
because hey, entrepreneur, you don't have a JD.
Yes. But then now, so I'm seeing the advantage of being an entrepreneur because I can make decisions on the go and not have to check with a million people,
and pitch your ideas.
Yes, there's no pitching. We still have to pitch because, like to VCs and, all those other things. But no, there's some things that I have the final say,
I meant the internal pitch of checking, can I make this decision?
What are the politics around it and what is, all that, madness. But having the assured salary is a fantastic thing.
Yes.
It's a fantastic thing. So sometimes, like in the middle of this, I get a call for maybe a role, people who are headhunting. And I'm thinking that's even better money than I left. In this entrepreneurship journey, it might take me 10 years to get to where, I don't know, where I was. But then the fulfillment, because I used to always say I was really bored in my tech job, not because I just felt that there's so much more I could be doing than what my JD requires me to do. And the leeway is not there as much,
Because then you're stepping on toes.
Yes, and also just because, these multinationals are structured a bit different. In Safaricom, it was easier for me to just go and say, like, coming up with social innovation is just me who came up with a strategy and went pitched it. In the bigger tech companies, decisions are made in San Francisco or something, and over here, even up to the president maybe of EMEA, there's only so much leeway they have, So I would be very bored because I know this is my
there's like a global strategy.
Yes.
So you can kind of tweak here on a local level, but you can't really make
and you can't tweak that much.
Yes.
You can't even tweak that much. Sometimes it'd be very up until this is what you can position here, and you're the one who knows the industry. So I'd be very bored very easily. But it was good because my kids, when I joined, my firstborn was 2. The other one was just 6 months. It was right after maternity. He was just 6 months, and then I had my 3rd baby. So much as I was bored, it allowed me to go through the season of motherhood, having smaller children.
That's not boring at all. That's very demanding.
So it was boring on the career side, but then it allowed me to do all this other stuff. But I knew I couldn't last there very long. Even my husband knew. Even sometimes you get this call, I'm like, this entrepreneurship. He's like, no, I know you. Please stay with entrepreneurship, So, Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So what's your biggest failure?
In anything, right?
Yes.
I think in anything, some of the things that I kind of wish I did was, I'm very big on posterity. And When I think about it, there's a lot that we could have learned from maybe people gone, that we lost the opportunity. Like for instance, my grandparents were Mau Mau. My grandpa was the most electrifying human you've ever met. He had amazing stories. And I kind of wish I recorded those. So sometimes every time I look back, I feel like I lost an opportunity to give my kids and their kids and others a bit of who we really are, you know, because now they can only learn what, who am I? Just, you know, but there's so much more to it. So that's the one thing that's always at the back of my mind, that I kind of wish I captured those stories better.
You're giving me an idea.
Yeah.
As Dadasphere, because we do women's stories. Yes, see, that's why you're here.
Yeah,
so actually, you had asked me this. Let me answer you. So Dadasphere, we used to do events, and I do want to bring them back. We used to do events where women tell their stories in like 15 minutes. You know, you stand up and you share your story. And we have a training program to prepare you for that, and public speaking and all that.
Nice. Interesting. Yeah, so they don't have it. And for us, we are actually just letting it slip through the cracks, you know. So even now that you said that, we are doing my dad's stories, you know. Because my dad is the son of a Mau. He tells us, you know, amazing stories. But I wish I could reach just a little bit further. Then that way we know who we really are. Not this Kenyan culture where we become like a melting pot.
And it's okay to be a melting pot, but it's also good to acknowledge where
we came from.
That is coming from. What is in the melting pot? We know we can say it's iron and copper and what, but to acknowledge, like from this we get this, and it offers this value, and from here we get this. I think
because for us, especially for us Africans, we don't have stories told by us. We don't actually have them. We have stories. So in the melting pot, it's not a fair melting pot, you know, because these other guys actually have written their stories, you know, for many years. We don't have that. So the only thing we learn is what now they tell us happened.
We have a colonial lens.
Yes. You know? So now I kind of wish I captured that, but then from now, I'll just do what I can on my side. And please look for those ladies.
And collect the stories. I like that. And I like the idea. Thank you. Thank you. So from your name, I can tell you are in an intertribal, intercultural, correct to me, which word you want to use. I'm bringing it up now. I wasn't going to bring it up, but then now that we are on this topic, so what do you do with your kids? Because yours is not a unique marriage. There are many Kenyan marriages that are intercultural. So how do you bring out each culture?
We've actually failed. That's what I should have said as a failure. My kids are learning Swahili on Duolingo. Even Swahili.
On Duolingo.
Forget Meru and Kisii. So we are trying. Like now, I got a nanny. My ladies have been with me forever. You know, for 14 years. But now I just
you're a good employer.
I just brought one this week that is a Kisii specifically, so she could teach my kids some Kisii. I try to speak to them, you know, a bit of Meru, and you know, I'm not doing very well. We're not doing very well, and especially when we look that we started our relationship from a work setting. That means we speak English. You know? If we had met in the streets, maybe at least we'd have been speaking Swahili or something.
But do you speak Swahili? It's okay, just confess. There's no judgment here. My Swahili is terrible.
No, I know mine is also really bad. My written Swahili is excellent.
Yes.
But my spoken Swahili is...
Speak Swahili kanatoka tu.
Yeah, I know. As unusual.
The ghetto friends, and it just pours out. I'm like,
If I'm meeting with my nannies, they tell me, just speak to us in English. It's okay. So now that I speak to everyone in English. But I'm trying, especially now that I'm working with farmers. I can't tell you how many times. And you know, when you go to these counties, generally, in fact, the worst part is they don't want just Swahili. Swahili at least will help me in places where I don't speak Meru, because I'm Meru. I go to maybe Kiambu or, you know, one of these places, and I'm at an AGM. I speak Kiswameru.
I like Kiswameru. Oh, do I speak Kiswakuyu? Maybe I do. Maybe I do.
Because they don't want me to speak English. I mean, some people might not understand the English, the Swahili, they want me to mix it. They tell me, just mix it, we'll understand some Meru, but I mean, we know really, so we end up, So I wish I spoke very good Swahili, because then now the conversation would be so much easier.
So much easier.
Yeah.
But you'll learn.
Yeah, no, I'm actually trying to practice. It's one of the things that I set out to do this year.
Now that you have a Kisii nanny, maybe you should learn Kisii.
Yeah. Maybe I should. In fact,
it works. I got, I've always hired Kikuyu nannies because I want my son to speak Kikuyu. And we were doing very well. And then COVID happened and school moved into the house. Oh. And now you can't teach English in Kikuyu. Yeah. So there we are. I remember my son looking at me, he's like, Mama, now in Kikuyu, is like, Mama, kiorame njirege thogo. It's like you've learned English.
Yeah, I understand that. You mean all this time he thought that you don't speak?
He thought I do not speak English.
Oh, that is so amazing.
Because I would speak Kikuyu to him, even if around friends, I'd be like, Shaurienu. What are that here? Like I was speaking to him in Kikuyu.
No, actually, maybe we should do that. We talked about that with my husband, that I speak to them in Meru, he speaks to them in Kisii, and they'll catch Swahili somewhere. At least
they'll pick it up.
Yeah, and for some reason we forget.
Okay.
Yeah, but
or maybe you feel you're being rude, because that's also something we were told. Is you
at the beginning
you're being rude, like in a setting, in a multicultural setting. Speak the language that everyone understands.
Yeah. Yeah, at the beginning, I think we thought that we should speak a language everyone understands, but then now as we have progressed, we realize we're actually losing something.
Does hubby speak Kisii?
Very fluent.
Then you learn.
Yeah, I should learn, but also the kids, so we want them to learn everything, you know? So I speak to them, and I've seen that even actually in interracial marriages, where you find maybe the German wife speaks to the kids in German, the Kikuyu husband speaks to the kids in Kikuyu, and those kids learn all the languages, you know?
But I also find it can be a political conversation within a couple, within a family, where, I don't know, we have this idea that maybe Western languages are valuable, and then we feel like our tribal languages are not. Even that word tribal to me is problematic. Then now in the family, it becomes whose tribe trumps.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then mom spends a lot of time with the kids. So the easiest thing is to pass on your Meru, right?
Yeah.
But then now it's like, ala, kwani baba alikaliwa? Why do all the... You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get
you know what I mean?
Understand.
So I find other things come in, and then the language just disappears.
It's true, but this year we actually were setting our goals for this year. We said our kids need to do better. You can't be having little Kenyans living in Kenya, learning Swahili on Duolingo. That's a problem. It's a big problem.
It is. Okay. Yeah. I like that you set goals. So you set goals as a family.
I set my goals. He sets his goals, and then now we sit and see which ones are now family, specific family ones. What are the things we want to achieve, and then we see how can we do that together.
So how did you find this man? Let me tell you, I'm seeing a theme with all the women I'm interviewing. They are very quick to say, my husband is great and supportive. So I'm seeing that female success requires husband, supportive, spouse, right?
I think it's both. Not requires, but it benefits greatly. Because we do have some women who are not married.
Yes.
And they are still successful.
Yes.
So I'm saying it benefits greatly from a supportive spouse. And I think it's the other way. Even the other way is still valid. Because they keep saying that, behind every successful man is a woman. So I think just the fact that when I go home, I have someone who's always in my corner.
Nice.
I think that really helps. Yeah.
So how did you pick him? We have many young women who are dating and they're like, I want to be Judy, right?
No, I mean, for me, first of all, of course, our spiritual standing was important for me, because for me, I'm a born-again Christian. I wanted to make sure that I'm not saying this one, then he's saying, no, let's go to the mosque, or,
Okay.
So that was important. Okay. So, and the fact that I can have a good conversation with him, and he will not feel like, there's some conversations you can have that you either, because when you're in the dating world, sometimes at one point you might feel like you had to kind of downplay your IQ. That for me was important, that I will not have to feel that. I need to be able to come in and have an intellectual conversation, and you will flow with me, and you'll even tell me, you know, here you are wrong. Here maybe, you know, etc. So someone who can still have that conversation and with me was important.
Something that I'm also finding matters to me is a man who will say, wow, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yes. Someone who appreciates your intellect.
Yes.
Someone who will come home and tell you, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think?
Right.
Because they value the input that you put in. That you put in.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned being a born-again Christian. I'm also a born-again Christian.
Awesome.
Let's talk about submission. Not exactly a Wall Street conversation, but let's talk submission.
Now, submission, you know,
because even the church doesn't know what to do with this woman who has started a business and is doing her thing and blah, blah. And it's not in the Bible. If you're a corporate wife, this is how
submission. First of all, I think the Bible talks about the woman submitting to her husband, just like, you know, Christ submits to the church.
Right.
And,
the church submits to Christ. Yes.
And vice versa. It also talks about submit one to another. Now, the minute a husband only sees wife submits to husband and doesn't see the element,
the rest of the chapter,
of submit one to another, then we might have an issue. You know, where it becomes I'm the boss, and there's no time Christ comes and says, I'm the boss, you know, you guys do this. But where the person realizes that actually we're supposed to submit one to another. And if at the end of the day we've had, you know, and he listens to me completely and we've had, you know, reach a stalemate, then I'll say, okay, what you decide, you know, because that's what I believe submission is. It's not, dear husband, here is tea for you. It's not.
But you know, there are women handing over all property and blah blah.
If that's you, if for me, I think if you're doing that, it must be because maybe your love language is service, you know. But you shouldn't feel that. Otherwise, it's a very fine line where you think that because now I'm married, I'm the one who I'll cook all the meals, I'll clean all your shirts, I'll do what. For me, that actually is not biblical. Because when you read, what is it called? Proverbs 31. Which people used to hit women on the head with. That woman, and I was really listening to some people who've done quite a bit of work on that. And when they look at the woman that was called the virtuous woman, it's not like good-mannered
no, it's
woman.
not.
It is a help meet. And by the help, the word that they use for help is like the Holy Spirit. There's no time I'm the boss of the Holy Spirit.
Yes,
it means it's a co-warrior.
Yes.
As you're fighting this side, you're the person fighting on the other side on your behalf. So the minute you see as a woman, as someone who is actually supposed to be here with you to help you fight whatever you're fighting, then you no longer think of that woman as someone who to beat down.
Actually, when I read Proverbs 31, I see very clearly like the women who raised me, because I was raised by your typical Nyeri women. So my mom, her sisters, all working. My grandmother, as far as she didn't have an office job, but she was always working. And when you look at the Proverbs 31 woman, she is working. This idea of submission and being a housewife and whatever, I've struggled to find it in Africa, in an African context. I think it's a Western idea of women, and even then it's an elitist Western idea, because most Western women had to work. So it was, you know, the lords and ladies and those ones who the women stayed home, and you know, their husbands were landlords, and so there was rent and things like that coming in. So I'm like, that's not really, it's not a biblical idea. It's a Western cultural aspiration. But for most of us in the world, women work. So when we say submission, I don't see the removal of work.
No. Yes. I completely agree.
Or even
and it so
ownership.
happens that a lot of the missionaries came from those areas. So then that's why when they came with that thing of now you have to be a stay-at-home mom and, you know, all that other stuff, you're not really fulfilled, you know.
Right.
And I don't believe God gave us all these things for us to just...
all this intellect.
For us to just say, what is it for? to figure out the shirt or the sandwich.
You know, to be a woman who can start a company in 14 months and have 30,000 people signed up. I mean, really, if you were just ironing shirts, I think we'd all feel shortchanged. Definitely, their farmers would be like, "Ay, angefanya yo kazi, please." You know,
so it's good that no, for me, and it's a lot of value, and I wish more men would see that, because unfortunately, a lot of men are being told that your wife needs to submit by being, serving you, my lord.
Servitude,
and,
yes.
And it's completely, that actually is what I call the doctrine of demons. It's what the Bible calls it, where people have just come up with a tradition and decided that this tradition is the Bible, and it is not. It's completely different.
And it looks like wisdom, but really it isn't.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, you're in this space, we hear frequently, I'm changing topic, kabisa, but it's the last question because we're almost out of time. We're hearing that women don't really get funding globally, right? There's a whole movement on gender lens investing and that kind of thing. And then now Black women, forget women don't get funding. Black women now in Africa, the numbers,
the odds are so bad.
How has that been for you? Do you have funding?
Yes, thankfully. And I really, I thank God. I really count myself very fortunate to have been able to get, to even turn away funding.
Wow.
However, what I think really helped, first of all, is, either maybe it's a time that I came in, a lot of information is a bit out there compared to the past. That, women-led companies in most of these venture capitalist portfolios are actually the better performing. So that is beginning to be seen.
They scale?
Yes.
Quicker?
They scale, because you know how it is, before we take something out there, we've really turned it everywhere. Panel beaten.
Any which way,
Yeah, and so I was really fortunate to come and find VCs that were actually looking for women. I was not used to that. I'm coming from tech. Tech, you could be the only person and 20 men, and no one sees like there's anything. You're just used to fighting it out there. The way, like everyone, So then I come to become a founder, and for the first time I was reminded I'm a woman out here, so, and there are VCs looking for women, so so I got funded. There's a VC called Founders Factory Africa that specifically even give you a bit more money if you're a woman.
Wow.
Yes, so those were the guys. I got funded by them. I also got funded by a Japanese VC. But that one didn't have any special focus on women. But I discovered that now women have been coming together. Like I joined a group called Women Who Build Africa.
Nice.
And you find they have opportunities, but you have to look for them. If maybe I didn't go through, like, say, Antler and FFA, Founders Factory, I might not know that there are opportunities out there. So I would say if someone is founding and they're a woman, don't just go blindly. Look for those people that actually are looking to support women, and there are. So that worked for me. I didn't struggle as much. When we were doing the construction company, and we were 2 women, we struggled to try and raise money. We actually had to just use our own money.
You said you poured in your life savings and everything.
And all that, and that we were doing very well, but getting funding was very difficult. When I look back, it might have been the women in construction thing.
I find that thing so hilarious because Africans, the houses we lived in were built by women.
By women.
We are the original construction workers as African women. This whole women in construction, I'm like, again with the Western paradigm.
No, it is. It's very Western. For us, women were actually considered, they had a seat at the table. Like when you are a little girl, you're just a child.
Right.
But the minute you become Mama Nani, you make a decision. You have a seat at the table.
Yes.
But now, unfortunately, the Western culture didn't have that. And that's why I keep saying we need to find out who we are.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that we have embraced out there that we think that this is how the world is. But no, we are adopting other people's worldview and forgetting the things that are us.
Okay. Thank you so much, Judy. I feel like we could continue for longer, but our time is up. So thank you so much.